welcome to the deep dive. What we're looking at today, well, it's really given us pause, hasn't it?
It really has. We're talking about the White House's recent approach to social media.
Yeah, this very deliberate shift towards using things like AI-generated images and, well, meme-like content on their official channels.
And it feels significant. This isn't just, a few quirky posts online.
Exactly. It's more than just online antics. It kind of raises questions, big questions, about maybe the mental state of the USA right now.
And the potential consequences down the line. Where does this kind of communication lead?
We've seen some really specific examples causing alarm, too. AI images of Donald Trump as, what, a Jedi? A Pope? The Pope one definitely got a lot of reaction, and those Ghibli-style deportation scenes,
yeah,
quite something.
Yeah, sort of unsettling. And then there was that painting referencing his assassination attempt being displayed and the ASMR illegal alien deportation flight video.
It's a real mix of provocative stuff.
Yeah.
So quite jarring, actually. And the reactions.
Yeah.
All over the place. You've got people saying it degrades the office, calling it gleeful cruelty even.
Right, but then you also have the argument that, hey, this is just savvy, modern political strategy, engaging people online where they are.
So that's what we want to do in this deep dive.
Yeah. Really
unpack what these communication shifts might, signify for American society, our norms, maybe even our global standing.
Okay, so let's start with that shift itself, the change in communication style. Our sources really contrast it with the past.
Yeah, the past being, sober, often sterile messaging. Think traditional press releases, very formal.
Very formal, very controlled. Now, it's different.
It feels like a complete U-turn. There's this embrace of irony, shock, and meme aesthetics.
Meme aesthetics, yeah,
Okay.
like using that visual language, the slang, the references you see all over the internet. But from the White House?
And the examples are, well, they're hard to miss. Those AI images we mentioned. Trump as a Jedi, but with a red lightsaber. That choice feels loaded, doesn't it?
It does. It immediately brings up ideas of, good versus evil, Sith versus Jedi, or maybe it's meant to be ambiguous. And the Pope image that caused real offense, particularly with Catholic leaders. Cardinal Dolan, for instance, was mentioned.
And those Ghibli-style deportation scenes.
Yeah.
One showed a, quote, shackled crying woman in anime style, taking this whimsical animation style.
And applying it to something incredibly serious and potentially traumatic, it creates this really jarring, uncomfortable feeling. It's quite unsettling.
Is it meant to trivialize it?
Yeah.
Or desensitize people? That's the concern, right?
It certainly raises that question, the deliberate nature of it all. That red lightsaber, not just any color, the specific anime style for deportations. It seems designed to provoke, maybe even normalize things through this odd aesthetic lens.
Totally. And then placing that painting, the one about the assassination attempt, in a usually very formal, reserved spot, that's a major break from protocol.
Oh, absolutely. It sparked talk of a cult of personality for some observers. It just disrupts all expectations of presidential representation.
It really makes you question the message. Is it victimhood? Rallying the base? What's the underlying driver?
Hard to say for sure, but it definitely disrupts the usual decorum.
Okay, but let's look at the other side. The argument that this is actually savvy political theater.
Right. The idea that you have to communicate this way now to reach a meme-literate public, that traditional methods just don't cut through the noise anymore.
So it's about using contemporary tactics, meeting people where they are online.
Exactly. This fits into what some are calling digital populism, where spectacle and getting attention might matter more than detailed policy. Virality is the currency.
And it's less about appealing to everyone, more about firing up your specific base.
Precisely. And you see that reflected in comments like Vice President J.D. Vance dismissing concerns as just, people not getting the joke.
Or Deputy Communications Director Kalen Dorr's statement, the arrests will continue, the memes will continue. That's pretty blunt.
Very blunt. It shows a clear commitment to this approach. It's not accidental. It's a strategy prioritizing online engagement and spectacle.
But this is where the alarm bells ring for many, right? What does this actually reveal about the U.S.'s mental state, as some put it?
Yeah, one source described these posts as symptomatic of a country experiencing ideological disintegration. That's a very strong claim.
It really is. The fear seems to be that, government messaging has been overtaken by meme logic.
And that it's not just about tone, but about fundamentally rewriting civic norms, eroding shared values about how leaders should communicate.
And this idea of cultural desensitization to shock or outrage fatigue, Are we just getting used to this stuff?
That's a real worry. We see so much extreme content online. Maybe these government posts just blend in, lose their impact.
Our sources mentioned that connection to broader internet trends, like AI being used to make sort of cutesy pictures of awful events.
Yeah, that normalization of the absurd or the shocking. If it happens often enough, even from official sources, does it just become normal?
It's a chilling thought, especially for government communication on sensitive topics.
And it leads to this idea of eroding norms, the rise of irony. When the White House uses troll-like content, does it change how we see governance itself?
Some commentators suggested it moves away from respect towards a kind of performance of power.
The deliberate absurdity seems key, tapping into what's described as an American appetite for transgression and spectacle, pushing boundaries.
But when it comes from the top, the line between political talk and just, well, internet trolling gets incredibly blurry.
Yeah, it's this normalization of provocation as a strategy. Maybe not a total breakdown, but it reflects a certain collective instability, a shift away from how things used to be done.
Let's look at a few more specific examples that really drive this home. Vice President Vance's Freedom Seeds post. What was that about?
Or celebrating wiping Gulf of Mexico off Google Maps. These things feel intentionally designed to provoke, right? Not build consensus.
Definitely feels confrontational. Aimed at energizing one group, maybe at the expense of dialogue.
And the AI image of Trump as a monarch. Long live the king. The symbolism there is, well, it's pretty potent.
Raises huge questions about power. Or that caption after the Zelensky meeting, have you said thank you once? Kind of dismissive, maybe.
It certainly seemed to prioritize a kind of online dig over a more diplomatic tone you might expect in that situation.
And the focus on immigration, using mugshots, the Make America Safe Again slogan, that Valentine's Day rhyme.
Roses are red, violets are blue, come here illegally, and we'll deport you. Very direct, maybe flippant for such a complex issue.
Then the ASMR illegal alien deportation flight video, that one really seemed to hit a nerve.
Yeah, reports suggested even some MAGA supporters found it uncomfortable. Too brazen, perhaps, lacking sensitivity.
It's a stark example, the comparisons some sources made to dehumanizing content on places like 4chan. That's deeply concerning.
It really is. It suggests an embrace, maybe even amplification of rhetoric that's often seen as harmful and offensive. Blurring lines again.
We also saw that post about the Brown University professor's deportation, quickly followed by a Trump McDonald's drive-through picture. The juxtaposition is jarring.
And DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's video from inside an El Salvadorian prison almost showcasing deportees. It adds to this feeling of, what did the source say? Projecting casual cruelty and overwhelming force.
Even FBI Director Kash Patel's camouflage video seems part of this pattern. Performative toughness online.
Taken together, it paints a picture. It's not just policy, it's cultivating an image of power, maybe even a disregard for vulnerability through these online channels.
Okay, so who's actually doing this? There's been tons of speculation.
Oh yeah. Our sources mention names like Baron Trump or just an anonymous incel Reddit user, even someone low-key Goebbels maxing. Wild speculation, obviously.
All right, it's just guesswork. But the point behind it seems to be
that whoever is running the account seems deeply familiar with far-right internet culture, like the gripers. They know the language, the style. It suggests it's intentional.
Which leads to the likely goals. What are they trying to achieve?
Seems like two main things. One, keep the base engaged. Constant content, memes, keeping them energized.
And two,
more strategic, perhaps. Goad opponents into defending people accused of crimes. Create this false binary, you know.
So if you criticize the meme about someone accused of something bad,
they frame it as you defending the crime itself. Like Door's comment about fentanyl, you're more upset about the meme. It deflects from criticism of the communication style.
But the main objections aren't usually about defending the individuals, are they?
No, our sources stress that. The objections are often about the dehumanization, the lack of due process suggested, the overall tone. It feels like propaganda tactics borrowed from online extremists.
Okay, last piece. How does this play internationally?
With confusion and concern, according to our sources. Think about those Italian commentators calling the Pope image a brutta figura.
A bad look, basically. Embarrassing.
Exactly. These posts risk projecting immaturity or instability. That could undermine the U.S. image as a stable global leader. There's a real disconnect growing between the domestic target audience and global perception.
So wrapping this up, it really feels like the White House social media isn't just messing around online. It reflects something bigger.
A significant cultural, maybe even psychological moment for the U.S. The line between political messaging, propaganda, even parody, it's getting incredibly blurry.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Is this a new kind of political engagement, however unsettling? Or is it a sign of, I don't know, institutions and trust kind of unraveling?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Yeah. And for you listening, it gets you thinking. How does normalizing this kind of provocative stuff, especially from the highest office, change things? Our understanding of what's acceptable, what's credible, what's even normal in public discourse, both here and how the world sees the U.S.
What are those long-term implications when politics seems increasingly driven by meme logic and digital spectacle? Something to definitely keep mulling over.